In today's tutorial, I'll show you how to draft, cut and sew a hip pad that gives your skirts and dresses that perfect curvy shape. Let's get started. We first will draft our skirt with the waist, hip and the knee line. Waist to hip is 9.5 and then from the hip to the knee is 10 inches. This is the hip divided by 4 and then the waist divided by 4. When we get to the knee is the hip divided by 4 minus 2 inches deducted from it. And so that's what we have here. From the waist on the side seam, we move downwards by 1.5 inches. Then from the knee upwards, we move by 2 inches. Now on the hip line, we move inward by 5 inches. We draw a line to connect from the knee through the hip line all the way to the 1.5 inches we came down by. Now this is the top part, and this we've drafted is also the front hip pad. Now for the back, we come down by 1.5, 2 inches, and then from the center back we come in by 1 inch. And so we mark the 1 inch here, and then from the waist we come to the under part by 13 inches. That is the under part of our butt, 13 inches. And so we draw this very line, to indicate our underbutt line. Now we are connecting through using the front as a guide, to touch the 1 inch we had closer to the zip line, and then we'd also trace it all the way to the waist side. And so this is the shape we get. Very well, so this would be for the back. Right, and so we trace this to get the back part of our hip pad, and then this is the front part of our hip pad. We'll do away with the skirt itself, and this is what we have. We'll use this pattern to cut our cushion. I decided to do the 1/4 inch cushion. You can do the 1/2 inch if you want it to be a little bit bulky. I didn't want it to be too much. Now we're going to shape the edges, so that it fades off. So this is how I do it. We cut in a slant, making sure that the very edge is quite slim so that you don't really see the difference between where the hip pad is going to end and that of the, the skin. That's how come we're reducing the edges. And then we do this, in a slant. We do this for all the 4 parts that we cut, in the same shape. We trim them all up. By the way, if you're enjoying this tutorial so far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss my sewing tips and tutorials. Alright, so we are done trimming them up. We do away with them. Now this is a woven tricot, or you can use the corset sieve, the very soft one. Yes, I would want to sandwich, the foams into them so that we give it a press. Pay close attention to the edges, you understand, because that is what you want very, very close, because we want the edges to be as slim as possible. We cut them out. That is the individual pieces. We cut them out as you see me do. Right. And so this is the front I'm cutting out. The first one I cut was that of the back. We repeat same for all the other pieces. And we give them the needed press so that, it's fused. After fusing them, we'll go ahead and stitch the edges as well. And this is also to make sure that the edges are as slim as possible. As you can see, very, very, very slim. And so you can do 1 or 2 stitches around them, to secure the edges. We've done same for the front. This is the back. We just stitch over the edges. That's done for all the pieces. And so we would also have to bear in mind that we had the parts that was marked as the parts going upwards, and so we align them. We align them so that the parts that are supposed to go upwards are going upwards. So we pick one for the back and the corresponding one for the front. That is what we are stitching right now. Right. Bear in mind, whatever we do for one side, we do for the other. This is what we have. Neatly finished. Okay. And so when it gets to the skirt, this is the lining. And so we'll go ahead and stitch our darts. Then after stitching our darts, we stitch the side seams. You understand? As we sew our normal skirt. So this is it. This is the lining. I'm marking at 1.5 inches from the waistline downwards, as we had done on the pattern paper. And this is where our hip pad is going to begin. And so I'm making sure that I match the center part to the side seam of the skirt, that is the lining. Then we pin this up. Right. It's very important that you align the side seam of the hip pad to that of the lining. I'm also pinning that of the back. As you remember, we had just about 1 inch from the center back inward. All right, in this, I have intentionally, attached the zipper. This zipper will be taken off, at the latter part. Now we go ahead and then stitch all around. So this is the side seam being stitched to the side seam of our hip pad. This part is quite delicate and you should do that with all the caution needed. We would want to make sure that we stitch right in line. Okay. And so our side seam is stitched. Now we're going to stitch the other parts. When you're doing this, it's very much appropriate to spread out the lining very well so that there are no folds. You understand? There shouldn't be any folds between the hip pad itself and the lining. And so as you can see, I'm just dragging them apart so that it lies flat as we stitch on the edges. Good. We're still stitching through to the front. We're done with the back side, and so this is the front part, and we are stitching it all the way to the waistline. Right. And so this is how it looks like after we're done, stitching both parts onto our lining. And so we're taking this new measurement, that is a new hip measurement. This is what we're going to use for the fashion fabric itself. And so there will be that difference. And so this is our fashion fabric. It's already cut. That's the front. That's the back I'm placing on. And as you can see, we have our zipper allowance left. And so I'm placing them good size together, taking off our seam allowances. And so whatever hip measurement we had, after we had done the hip pad, we had about 2 or 3 inches more. And so that's what we're using to shape our skirt. That is a fashion fabric. And so this is our skirt neatly sewn. And then our zipper has been placed. Now we've taken the zipper off the lining. Yes, as you can see, it's been taken off. It was inserted because we wanted to fit it and see, before inserting. Now we're placing them good size together. That is the lining and that of the fashion fabric. We're placing them good size together like this. We'll go ahead and then we pin our waistline because we'll be going to our machine to stitch. Right, and so this is our stitching of the waistline. There's one very important thing I would want you to take notice of. As you can see, we are stitching all the way through and we are stitching the waistline first. We would also have to close the zipper side. You understand? So that the zipper attached to the fashion fabric would also have the lining attached to the zipper line. And so we'll first stitch the waistline and then we'd go and see how would close that of the lining's opening, how would close it with the zipper too. And so you stay tuned. Right, so this is what I'm talking about. After we've stitched the waistline, now we need to case that of the lining. And so what you do is that we'll stitch from the zipper at the top, as you can see. Then we overlap that with the lining and then we stitch, that is, we are stitching behind the zipper jacket, so it's not affected by the teeth. Right. This is very, very important because it makes sure your zipper is neatly closed. And so this is it. Now when we fish it good side out, this is how it looks like. And this is perfectly what we wanted to achieve. Yes, as you can see, it's been neatly cased. We do the same for the other side. And then our skirt is neatly done. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more easy sewing tutorials. See you in the next one.